Oh, there are people already. 22. Yes. Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone. I see Julian.
Vic. Kat. Jennifer.
Julian. Oh, did I say Julian
Yeah.
already? Victoria Q.
Joe B.
G.
Charlie. Joelle.
There's Joelle's in the house.
Oh my gosh.
Emily. Who are you? Emily is seriously out of control. Yeah, totally.
I see the real Serenity Amore.
I see you, girl. I see you. Patricia.
What's the guy's name that starts
Chuck Zumba.
with an N?
N.
NJIS.
Oh, yeah. I can't. I always avoid it because I can't pronounce it. Jennifer is asking if everyone voted today.
There he is. How do you say your name? NJIST. I see you. I see you.
Him.
Right there.
Oh, Najist. Najist.
It's not Najist.
Oh.
Something silent.
I don't think so.
Did you unmute him or? Yeah, just I want to hear his name. Because I don't want to butcher it every time.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Chris. It's Naced.
Nate?
Oh, Naced.
Naced.
Whoa, I was really wrong, and I'm just very sorry for really butchering that.
She said Najist.
And I was super confident.
Yeah,
I was super got this.
Joe said the N is probably silent.
No, he said the J. You don't have your glasses on.
No, Joe said the N is probably silent.
Joe said the J is silent.
Oh, yeah, but if you go higher up, he said the N.
Oh.
All right. He doubled down. That's a good one, Joe. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Guys, I messed up. We normally go do our live to remind everybody about our meeting, and the boys were in meetings and stuff, and I fumbled it. So I'm glad that everybody is.
And Natalie was out painting her office, so that's what was going on.
Stay tuned for the vlog.
I don't know if that's like a vlog you want to watch, like Natalie and Emily painting an office, but maybe it's
You
good.
guys,
I don't know.
we drop vlogs on the Hopeaholics page every week now, so
it is pink, Chuck, like a light pink.
Chuck, you already know. Chuck. You know me.
Oh man, I have a question.
Answer.
Please don't answer who.
Oh.
I just want to know, did you guys all go out and vote? I don't care who you voted for. It's not my business. I just think, and I've been telling everybody today, if you're eligible to vote, I think it's your right and your civic duty to go out and vote. It's important. Our voice should be heard regardless of which side you're on. You know?
I agree.
And here's the other cool part about it. I think we can all get along regardless of who you voted for.
We clearly do. That's the whole point. And that's what I think is a beautiful thing, and what I think a lot of people do forget about, especially us being like the Hopeaholics. Addiction and alcoholism is bipartisan. It doesn't care who you voted for and whose sons or daughters that fentanyl kills. It doesn't care. It does not discriminate. And the same with this disease, all of us suffer. So it's a perfect example of a place where we're all different, depending on, especially now because today is the day, depending on who you voted for. We all can come in here.
It's a stressful day regardless of who you voted for. Joe. Anyways, regardless, what I care more about though is, recovery. I care about the fentanyl crisis. I care about this podcast. And I just think that, regardless of what happens in life, God is always in charge, not us.
Amen.
And as long as we can remember that, everything's going to be okay.
Facts.
Everything has been okay. All right, let's get this party started. You want to get this party started? You want to kick it off?
Yes.
Yes, girl. She came in here. I was full of paint. But you had a cutie, and we're ready to rock and roll.
And you took your overalls off.
I did.
We were
because I was
twinning,
like
and
full of
then-
paint, and then I was a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So I tried to like
Would've
clean it
looked
up
cool.
a little bit. But
Well,
you're
before
right.
Amanda gets started, though, I want to remind everybody why the Hopeaholics
Yes.
podcast existed. And it does exist because I lost my son-in-law on 9/11 of 2022 to the fentanyl crisis. So it was birthed out of tragedy, and we decided to start recovering out loud so that people will stop dying in silence, man.
That's right.
You know, we just can't be anonymous anymore. Those days are over, at least for me. I'm not saying they have to be over for everybody, but this Recover Out Loud thing is a movement, and it truly is sweeping across the United States. People are recovering out loud now. They're letting you know, letting everybody know that recovery is possible. That like we do recover. You know?
Amen to that.
I saw Ian up there a little while ago on the board. Ian and I had the pleasure of speaking at the same event on Saturday night, and it was an amazing event by our drug court judge. His was a DUI court judge. Mine was the drug court judge. And we both got to speak basically as alumni and people that are doing the deal after
Experience, strength, and hope.
after doing that deal. And that was not an easy deal to accomplish, the drug court.
Yeah.
And everybody killed it. So shout out to all the fellas that shared that night. Yvette, Judge Anderson, and then Danny, Chad,
Obviously,
and Ian.
Danny is an amazing. If you guys don't follow Danny Lansdale, I don't know what his Instagram is. It's like
The Sober Spot.
The Sober Spot. He is a great public speaker live. I love listening to him. We have an amazing speaker tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's all stylish, ready to rock and roll. Her name's Amanda. And we're going to turn it over to you. You got about 20 minutes. Joelle's going to put a clock up there.
Perfect.
It'll be up there. Your camera's right behind Natalie, right here.
Oh, perfect.
So if you look over here at us, they'll think you're looking
Lovely.
at them. Yep.
Exactly.
And you're up.
Take it
Sure.
away.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. I'm very grateful. And I'm also a big believer that vulnerability is strength. So I've been sober now. I have 2 sober dates. I like to say that I'm sober for 13 years now of fentanyl and meth, and then 12 years of alcohol, because as some of us know, you're not an alcoholic, you're just a drug addict. Learned that real quick. That was not the case. So I really like to start my story off just with mental health. So that's a really big part of who I am. So growing up, I actually was adopted. So I don't know if any of you guys out there also are adopted, but if you know anything about foster care, if you know anything about the adoption in this country, you also know that it's directly connected to homelessness. You also know that it's directly connected a lot of times to drug addiction as well. I was adopted at a really young age, and my mother was also a drug addict. So she had me when she was under the influence, also methamphetamines, and I was taken from her pretty instantly. I always share this because there are so many parallels of me and my mother, like my entire life, that I feel like I am the walking, just killing that generational trauma in a way. So I went into foster care at a very young age, and I was adopted by 2 years old by an amazing family. I don't remember much, obviously, before 2, like being in a placement home. You can just kind of imagine that I had a lot of different caretakers, and, you're a kid without a direct caregiver, so that probably had some sort of impact on me. But I was adopted by a very wonderful family whom I love very much. But I was also adopted into a home of addiction. So my parents did the best they could. I like to always share, but there was also alcoholism in my family. And they also my family split up when I was a very young age too. So they got a divorce by the time I was 5. I was a highly sensitive child. So I remember being really young and just being really influenced by just other people's emotions. Some would call it an empath. I just remember being anxious at a young age without even knowing what anxiety was, but just never really feeling like I could fit in or really share who I really was with people at a really young age. So I would say my, traumas kind of started at a really, young we'll start obviously adoption, moving into about 11 years old is when I started to use. So I was introduced to pot, really young, and I feel like it didn't really do anything for me, but my anxiety and depression still continued to get worse. And by that point, I started to actually kind of have a name for it, I think. I remember being like 12 years old, going to the library and starting to look up some of my symptoms and diagnosing myself, right? At that point, I was telling my mom, like, I need to go to therapy. I need to do something because I'm just not happy in my body. I'm not happy in my mind. And I'd say back then, like, mental health, we've come a really long way with normalizing it and talking about it. And back then it was not so much, especially in certain cultures. Like if you come from like a Hispanic culture or just a bunch of different backgrounds, it's not necessarily something that we talk about. It's just like, you go to the mental illness facility and you just head out. We don't talk about it. So anyways, at a very young age, at about 13, I started to get prescribed medication. And at the same time, I was starting to self-medicate around that time as well. So just like slight drinking here and there. But I was prescribed antidepressants. I was prescribed ADHD medication. And I just remember already knowing at like 14, just this isn't working. And that the doctors were just continuing to give me these different meds. So Xanax, obviously, at that time also was getting pretty popular. And that was just benzos, something that I became super addicted to at a young age. And without getting super into that, just, started selling pills. The pills were my drug of choice for a while, ecstasy, anything that I could basically get out of my body because I was so uncomfortable. And meanwhile, at the same time, I still was having a lot of trouble finding a therapist that I felt good about it, I guess. Being that young, it's like you don't even want to talk about anything. And then while you're also self-medicating and being prescribed medication and becoming, I guess, like wrongly diagnosed for so long, it gets really defeating. By the time I was 18, they had already told me that I only had 3 medications left for antidepressants to take. And I remember being like, my doctor at the time had told me, okay, well, one of them, you can easily overdose on it if you take too many of them. One of them has a lot of suicidal you might have suicidal ideations by taking it. And then the other one was a sister of a medication I had already taken that did not work for me. So I remember just being offered these 3 meds after I had already kind of taken everything I could. At that point, I was pretty hopeless as far as how I felt. I was still drinking and, doing whatever pills I could. But just the point of just going back to mental health, just feeling like, as addicts, I feel like we already feel isolated and ostracized and different. I know I'm not alone in that, but also as a kid being prescribed medication for so long, never finding a therapist, and then being told I have all of these different diagnoses, it kind of was like, well, fuck this. Why am I still trying, if nobody knows who I am and I don't even know who I am? So around, I believe it was at 19, I was prescribed like 100 Xanax. Right. And I ended up taking them all within like a week and a half time span. And I was also drinking at the same time, but I was pretty hopeless at that point. So I was just, again, doing whatever it felt good to not feel like myself. And I remember going through withdrawal and not knowing what it was because I don't know. I just feel like I wasn't around that many pill poppers too. So I didn't really understand like the withdrawal of Xanax and alcohol. And if you guys know anything about it, it's one of the most dangerous withdrawals that you can possibly have. And I just remember like being hot and being cold and just so uncomfortable and telling my family at the time, like, I need, my medication. I'm having panic attacks and I'm having this, I'm having that, but still no idea that it's actually my drug addiction at that time. I just felt like loss of control of the body. Anyways, I had my family member go pick up my prescription for me. And lo and behold, my secret was out at that point because they're like, we just gave her like 100, 4 milligrams like last week. This is crazy. And at that time I was probably at the smallest I'd ever been. So they tell me, you might be anxious, you might have depression, you might be bipolar, whatever, but we do know you have a drug problem. So I went into rehab for the first time when I was 19. Leading up to that, I begged to actually be 5150'd instead because I was so afraid going to rehab that my one coping mechanism for my entire life was going to be taken away from me. I wasn't ready to admit I was an addict. I was really young. And all I know is that the system I felt like had already failed me so many times and just wanted to make money off of me as a kid, like giving me medication. And I was like, I could prescribe myself better medication than anybody there is going to, right? But anyways, I just go for it. I go to rehab. I actually went to rehab somewhere around here in Dana Point. Again, that was like 14 years ago, I think. And of course, in rehab, rehab romance, 19 years old, not taking it seriously. And I fall in love with a heroin addict there. And both of us commit to staying sober, and we're going to move up to NorCal, where his family's master growers, and we're just going to smoke weed. And it's going to be cool, and we're going to live in the woods, and we're going to live by a river, and it's going to be great. Down in the van by the river. So we move up there. I'm 20 years old. At that point, I had already had, just more introduction to weed again. And then at that time, before I went into rehab, actually, I mentioned before fentanyl was my other addiction. I don't know if you guys remember the patches, but that was prescribed to, cancer patients. The other reason I moved up north is so I could be away from that, because I had somebody that was a connect that I knew, like, okay, if I can just get out of SoCal, maybe I'll be okay, right? Anyways, my partner at that time, his mother was the one that introduced me to meth. And I don't know if you can tell right now, but I am an upper person. And that was the one drug that I had never found. And it was like the high I'd always been looking for. And that's kind of also why I relate, I think, to my biological mom, is I know that was her drug of choice. So I just see that parallel in our story. To speed up to the strength and the hope, I mean, I used for another few years. Just, again, meth was my drug of choice towards the end. And I'll tell one war story just because it's a funny one now. But, anybody that used for a while, especially as a woman, you might remember like being in compromising situations. And sometimes I'm like, how the hell did I get out of that without adding more trauma to my life? Well, one of my stories, we were talking about drug court earlier, when I hit kind of the peak of my addiction, right? I'm living in this house with my boyfriend at the time, and our dealer is also the person that is our landlord. So we're getting paid in meth, right? Just to like take care of his Airbnb. And I would go into psychosis. So that is a big reason is why I stopped using, because I would use, I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't sleep, and I would hallucinate for days, to the point where, my dealers would come, they'd drop off the drugs and they'd be like, all right, see you in a week. Like, tell my boyfriend and me, see you in a while. I know she's going to have a bad trip, right? So at the peak of my addiction, I basically tripped out. I don't remember exactly. I think I thought I was dying. Normal things, I was a hypochondriac drug addict. And I called an ambulance, ended up down in Visalia, California, admitted to a hospital. My partner at the time did not have a car, so he did his best to hitchhike his way down to find me. Neither of us had cell phones, just living the life. And I got discharged on Mooney Boulevard, which is one of the main places in Visalia, Tulare County. And I was walking in my hospital robe, discharged. That was a common thing that happened to me as I would run away from hospitals. Forgot to mention that in my hospital robes. And they readmitted me to the hospital, and then they discharged me again, and then the cops picked me up. When the cops picked me up, they, found out I was on drugs. I caught a charge. My partner at the time got in a fight at a Marie Callender's in the same area and said, my girlfriend, Amanda, is, I think arrested, blah, 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 calls the station. Sure enough, yep, that's where I am. So he comes, he gets me. But the funny part, but not so funny part of the story, but a big reason why I got sober is I did not remember that situation. When the police officer came into our house where we were living, I thought they were looking for my partner. And I go out and I'm like, oh, I'll talk to him, babe, because he had a warrant, right? So I go out and I talk to him. They're like, oh, actually, this is for you. You missed court. And I did not even remember being, having to be at court. I ended up going to drug court. But that is where my story started to take the big, beautiful turn, because that relationship, like many of them in our addiction, was very unhealthy. It was very toxic, mentally, physically, emotionally. And I just remember I was never a spiritual person. But my grandmother had given me this book of so many pages of saints. And I remember sitting in the backyard at the house, like by the river, and going through each page and just like praying to every single freaking saint and just being like, relieve me of my addiction, relieve me of my addiction, and just going and going. And, within a few weeks, my father actually came up and he took me back down to Orange County, and I gave it a real try to get sober. My partner at that time, unfortunately, he was using behind my back. I did take him with me back home, but he unfortunately relapsed as well. So I had to go on my own. And so this is kind of, I don't know, I thank you for sharing that part of my story. I really like to emphasize, let me see how much time. Okay. The next part of my life, because as hard as everything was, I really would have not changed anything, any of the mental health stuff I went through, to be where I am today. I'm in love with my life. I'm in love with my job. I'm in love with my family. And I know I would not be there without all those steps that I took, actually. So when I finally got sober, I just, I was 20 years old, taking away drugs, and I stopped drinking at 21, and I basically had to rebuild my entire life and my whole identity. A lot of stuff obviously comes up at that time. I always say this when I work in treatment is like, just because you get sober doesn't mean that everything just trickles away, especially if you're a person that went through any real trauma. Like, it sounds cheesy, but I mean, it's like an onion, even going to where I am now, like stuff comes up. That's why I do the type of work I do, because it's worth to keep going, because it does start to get lighter. When I first got sober, I just told myself I'm going to say yes to everything. So I'm going to say yes to any invite. I'm going to say yes to any opportunity, any type of change, just anything that's going to get me out of my comfort zone, because Lord knows whatever I did before was not working, and the people that were around me was not working. So as I started to say yes to everything, I started to, rock climb, and I actually found yoga, which is another huge part of my story. And any of you, if you can relate, and if you were an upper person, yoga was the last thing ever on my list. I was like, get that out of here. It is way too slow. But it was the first thing at that point in time, after a year of sobriety, that my mind was not anxious. It was not depressed. My thoughts were not negative. My limiting beliefs started to go away. I could actually breathe deeply. And as I found yoga, I started to find my spirituality and my higher power and my purpose. And that's also when I started to go outside, and I fell in love with the outdoors. And that's also where I found my work. So as I started to fall in love with yoga, I started to work in yoga, because it was the thing that brought me the most joy. So I started my journey on becoming a yoga teacher, in Reiki healing. And I became an outdoor guide and an outdoor educator. At that same time, just to also just come full circle with my story of mental health and with my mother, I actually ended up meeting her family. Oh, wow. I started to search for her again when I was 24 years old, so a few years sober. And I found her in the coroner's unit of Long Beach, with the birth date that matched and the name that matched. And I called the coroner and I said, hey, like, I'm pretty sure this is my bio mom, and I'm pretty sure that her whole family does not know that she's deceased. And the woman she was like, I'm not supposed to tell you any of this, but just so you know, this woman was found at a certain place in Long Beach. She passed away on a bench. She has like a butterfly tattoo on her hand, and I was like, that, from what I've heard, that's my mom, right? And for anybody that's adopted, if there is anybody on here that's adopted, there's these people called search angels online, and you can basically just like put your information in on who you're trying to find for your family. So I put in all the info that I knew. Somebody reached out to me and said, hey, I think in the 90s, your mom lived in this part of Lakewood. You should reach out to this house. So I wrote them a letter. And I said, hey, I don't want any money. I don't need anything from you. I just know my mom has passed, and I would love a picture of her. Like, I feel so connected to her. I would love a picture. So I actually got a response not too long after that from her sister. She called me, and her whole family had not known that she'd passed away. They hadn't seen her in 8 years. Yeah, so the last time they saw her, she was on the street, and she was psychosis, like completely gone. And I had Thanksgiving with them, and I went to their house, and I met their whole family. I'm still in contact with them, but I got all the pictures that I wanted. And that was an amazing full circle moment for me, because I just feel like, again, just like breaking those bounds of addiction, generational trauma. I feel like my mom, I wish that she had an opportunity to get out of there, and I see that sacrifice, you know what I mean? So having that, just like, I always like to share that story, because especially now I work in treatment. I should have gotten there at some point, but I always share, like, if you're a parent and you struggle with addiction, like, if you're alive, it's not too late, like, if it's so hard, like, this addiction, it's crazy, right? So I feel like, my mom didn't have that chance, and she was really young when she was exposed to addiction, also came from a lot of family trauma. So I just say, like, if you're still alive, you still have an opportunity. And if you have kids, like, they're going to love you for it if you just keep going, right? I started working in treatment about 6 years ago. So I am a facilitator. I do, like, yoga. I do Reiki healing, guided meditations. I am now a certified hypnotherapist. I do outdoor guiding for REI, if any of you guys know what that is. And then just to come to, like, I don't know, it brings me so much joy, like the end of my story. So obviously working in treatment, giving back is a big thing for me, and working in mental health. During COVID, I started a podcast. It's nothing like this, by the way. This is amazing. It's just like a grassroots thing, just giving back. And I just like to talk to people. It's called One Day I Decided, but I created this podcast, and on the podcast, I interviewed somebody. And instantly when I interviewed them, I was like, I need to meet this person. Like, I was, like, smitten, and I hadn't dated in a long time.
Oh my God.
It turns out that that's my husband now. So his
Shut
name is
up.
Dimitri Fuchs. Yeah. And he was on this podcast.
Yeah, Dimitri.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we met on the podcast, and, he told me his whole story. I didn't tell him
Dude,
his on that
what?
podcast. Yeah. We, fell in love. We live both in Dana Point now, very close to where both of us went to rehab at the same time, but we had never met. We have a beautiful baby girl. I just gave birth a few months ago, and we both still work in treatment and work in the communities. And I don't know, I don't believe in accidents. I believe in the power of perseverance. I believe in spirituality. I believe in my recovery. I pray every day now that I'm sober. I pray just for gratitude. I pray for, whatever light that I can get to help to give to others. And I look back at my story now that was so painful going through it. And, like, a lot of times I didn't think I was going to survive. And the relationships that I lost and the people that I lost. And I look at, everything as, like, just an opportunity every day to help people that felt like how I felt. So, like, when I look at the clients that I work with, I'm like, dude, I see you. I love you. Because I think that that's what we're looking for. We're looking for connection. We're looking for hope. We're looking for love. And mental health matters, like, and we should talk about it, because everybody's been there. And when it comes to addiction, those two together, like, they go hand in hand. So that's, am I done? Okay.
Yeah,
2
you're
minutes.
pretty much
yeah,
done.
that's my story.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
How cool. I didn't know that. But as you were talking and towards, like, when you mentioned Dimitri, and then I'm like, oh my God, I remember him.
Remember he was here. She was like, due any day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How wild.
Yeah. Full circle, right?
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
I figured it out when you came by a little while ago and said that he was here with
The baby.
Well,
Yeah.
I heard you say Dimitri, but I wasn't.
You didn't put two and two
No.
together?
I just said he can come up here, of course,
Yeah.
without knowing, like,
Who it was.
Dimitri.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Amazing. Awesome
Yeah.
story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations on everything that you've had to do for yourself to be where you're at today.
Thank
'Cause,
you.
as we all know, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to stick it in there and to keep going a day
Yeah.
after day after day. Because, like you said, it's not always, like, rosy.
No,
You
it
know?
definitely isn't. And I think, like, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable was, like, my mantra for a really long time,
Yeah.
and just getting an opportunity to try different things kind of, it helps you find a different identity
Sure.
in a way,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Amazing.
Yeah. Beautiful story.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Really
you so much
beautiful.
for sharing.
Yeah.
I also love that you got sober so young, because I think that, get out of there. Chad don't like you. Come over here.
We got the dog
Yeah.
trying to creep up on me right
Yeah.
now.
Because I do think that, the younger generation also has to hear that you can't get sober super young. You got sober before you even can legally drink. And the addiction can pop up
Yeah.
very soon.
I would say it's not easy, you know.
Yeah.
It was extremely challenging, especially like finding a new community. It's
Sure.
the hardest part. but
Sure.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that nice comment up there. You see it? It says great job, Beauty Pie. Oh, that's so nice.
What a sweet hat.
Yeah.
What a sweet
guy.
hat.
He really is a nice guy.
Yeah, I know. Very.
If y'all don't follow him on Instagram as well, I've been really enjoying his content lately. There he is. I see him right there. He's waving.
I don't see him. Oh, there he is.
I'm not.
Oh,
Oh
he's
yeah,
in
he
the
probably
car
has
with
us on
baby.
mute too because
There's the
baby's
baby.
sleeping. Yeah. The
How do
baby.
you
Yes.
can you say his name because we always butcher it over here.
Dimitri Fuchs.
You said, but no, how do you say his first name?
Dimitri.
But doesn't he say?
Mitri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in Russian. Mitri
Yeah.
Fuchs.
Yeah.
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 There you go.
We
You did
tried.
well.
Mitri.
Yeah.
Mitri.
How was that? Did I do all right?
You did.
Yeah, that was
you
good.
did okay. Don't give it to him too much.
No. Okay. All right. All right, guys. It's about time for people to raise their hands. I see we only got one up so far.
Wait, could we say Chuck? God keeping everyone company. That's dog spelled backwards. Yes.
Where's Chuck?
The last comment. You have any last?
God, keeping everyone company.
Meaning my dog.
That is dog spelled backwards.
Chad doesn't have his glasses on.
What
yet.
is
The sober physio.
the sober physio?
Yeah, maybe Dimitri can put it in the chat. His Insta.
Oh yeah.
Physio. PHYSIO.
Yeah,
I think so.
maybe.
Perhaps. Is it psycho or physio? That looks right, but he'll probably correct it if it's wrong.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It looks good.
I don't. That's definitely not psycho.
Sorry. I literally inhaled spit. I was like, not good.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Zoom user.
We got one. Zoom users up, man.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to be back. I was like working up in Montana next to Flathead Lake and didn't have any service. I think it's like week 2 of not being here. So,
Glad
and
you're
like
back.
it's weird that, yeah, it's weird that I did because like it's pretty typical that a lot of people on here say great share, but I really enjoyed that story. Yet again, like just so many similarities. Like I had the most rad idea to fall in love in treatment as well. Didn't work out, surprisingly, but yeah, it's actually pretty fresh that my ex partner, she continued to use and continues that and found herself like in even more trouble, and it's pretty heartbreaking. But I mean, same thing, just started super young, and the crazy thing is I'm gonna be hitting 7 months. My drug of choice was drinking and benzos back in however long, and then she was into fentanyl and never really liked opioids or anything, but I mean, never say never, right? So found myself like last winter and quite a while addicted to that. So going to be hitting my second sober date, and hitting 7 months, which I'm really excited about. And it kind of freaked me out because I met somebody new, and she's a rock climber. I just try to find a bunch of new stuff, and I just got back a couple days ago from a Reiki session and a yoga teacher that was actually at my treatment facility. Yeah, she's pretty wild. What a wild soul you guys are. But just so many similarities. Like I hated yoga. I remember I was in treatment the very first time, and I was just out of detox, feeling like shit. And they knocked on my door and they're like, yoga. And it was like 7 a.m. And I was like, fuck that. So I went out there and I just laid there. And then I started getting into the rhythm of it. And then at the end of it, she's like, come choose a rock. and it was like this cool little rock, and I still have that rock till this day because it made me feel a lot better. And then that like really just stuck in my mind to get in the rhythm of things, and these people are here to help you and try anything and everything that these people are suggesting. So saying yes, I think, is important. Following those people who have kind of laid down those stepping stones is incredibly important, even if it feels super foreign to you. And you know, right now I just couldn't be any happier to be kind of sane here in this moment, still being sober, and you know, finding that new group, because there's some rad people out there that I've come to find out. And yeah, connection, love, everything. I love it. So thank you
Yes.
for the awesome share.
I love it.
That's amazing.
To answer that comment right there, has anyone ever tried goat yoga? Just curious.
Yes.
We have done
We have
goat
too.
yoga.
You have too?
Yeah.
As a group.
Yeah.
Where at?
Natalie, Shane, and I did goat yoga.
Right here in San Juan. Right
Yeah,
here.
San Juan.
There's like a little spot right over here.
Little goats jump
It
on
was
your
like
back
the cutest
and
shit ever. I mean, I love goat. I love the little ones.
Me
They're
too.
crazy. They're so cute.
We did it too in Encinitas, and it was
Yeah.
awesome. Mhm.
They poop on
They-
you.
Yes, there's poop everywhere. so-
Everywhere. It's like
It's not as
not really
glamorous.
zen
And if
as
you-
you would think. It's like
and
you
if
do
you
it
go
one
with
and done.
if you go with Shane, he flicks the little poops at you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So
Yeah. But they're cute.
we did goat yoga.
Mm-hmm.
We did it with the lady from KTLA News. She came down and did the podcast. Yeah, she was like, "I'm going to do goat yoga in San Juan." I was like, "We're coming.
Yeah.
we wanna try that.
Mm-hmm.
Make some content."
Fainting goats.
Oh, the fainting goats. Those things are funny, huh?
So sad.
They just like faint.
Like
You've
literally-
seen
Get
that
startled
before.
and they fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah. You scare them and they're like,
Yeah, and they just
Oh my god, how sad. Or maybe it's just a mechanism pretending that they're dead.
yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
We got Von
Von.
Lewis. That's a fancy name.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Not much. Another beautiful day sober and above ground, getting to help others.
Nice.
In a ditch, and I'm not in a jail cell. My family's not having to call the morgue or the county facilities to wonder where I'm at. So I'm blessed and highly favored.
Mm.
Your share, absolutely amazing.
thank you.
That was really incredible. I love hearing people's vulnerability because it helps me just completely break down my walls
Mm-hmm.
and get vulnerable, because that's where the healing starts. You got to feel it to heal it. That's something that I've kind of clutched onto this go around in sobriety, and embracing my feelings and just putting myself out there more, because I'm pretty happy being a recluse most days. But I've learned to like come out of my shell more and just express myself more, and, you know, open up at meetings. And, you know, I try to talk to at least 3 different men at meetings each week. And that's truly, truly improved my recovery, and overall just waking up happier and going to bed happier, and definitely getting like my own little kind of crew down here in Dana Point going, because I split my time between Huntington and Dana Point. So definitely hitting a whole bunch of great meetings, and the recovery down here is just absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm truly blessed to be sober and to have meetings in Southern California. So truly blessed. I'm absolutely in love with your guys' podcast. Love what you guys do.
Yay.
I'm a huge, huge fan. Can't thank you guys enough for being on the front lines and trying to fight this. And, you know, I've lost too many friends and close people to fentanyl. I'm really, really happy that you guys are doing this. So that's all I got.
I mean, thank you. That's like such a sweet compliment, especially when we're also doing this as the same as everybody else to stay alive as well, because we're both in recovery too. So in a way, you know, by us talking about it and being loud about it, it helps our own personal recovery. But I wanted to do a shout out. I see a bunny.
I see a bunny too.
Hi, bunny.
Hi, bunny.
Hi, bunny.
That's-
Hi, honey bunny.
That's actually my honey bunny.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
She's not your honey bunny.
she's my seatbelt.
What does she always call me? She calls me honey bunny boo boo bear.
Maybe that's something you probably keep between you guys.
I like it.
We love you, Donna. You're the bomb. The real serenity amor.
Hi, family. How are you?
Fantastic.
First of all, I want to commend you guys on the Halloween party. Totally killed it. Chad, you did amazing. All you guys spoke really beautifully. You had a great turnout. If anybody missed it, please check the YouTube and look at any reels that are out there because it was phenomenal. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Bringing
The
everybody
best part was
together.
the haunted hallway. I have to tell
So
you
shout out
guys.
to Catherine
Yeah.
and Brooke and the rest of the team
They-
because that hallway was
They crushed that
savage.
hallway.
slay.
I mean, that hallway was so scary. I literally booked it as fast as I could through there because I was not trying to have somebody grab my feet. To be
Girl, I
honest,
did
like,
too, and I knew what was
oh my
coming.
gosh.
Well, we had
Yeah.
somebody planted on the floor to grab your feet.
Yeah, it was,
I know.
it was
That's
messed
so
up.
scary.
It was
Yeah.
messed
And then
up.
Shane was like in like the end, and you weren't expecting that, and he's so tall, so you're just like, what the heck? Like with his mask, I can't.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
Thank you for
Um,
coming out.
Yeah, definitely. I loved it. So with your share, I just want to say I love the fact of you went through all the points, right? So sometimes we forget that in this recovery, when we first get in, we're getting sober and that dopamine fix is real. So lots of times people are looking for that in different ways. And we all know love is a drug sometimes. So I can relate to that. That's actually one of the parts of how I got into my active addiction was through trauma bonding. And that was with my ex-fiance. And, you know, you love this person so much. And sometimes like they're demons, you let them in. And obviously like I'm accountable for myself. It's not his fault because it takes two. But definitely when you're wanting to give that unconditional love, it can make things blurry sometimes. But the hope is the fact that like you ended up with your person, you have this amazing life, you know, these promises and everything that we are promised, like it's amazing. Those things do come true. So it's encouraging for anybody to know, like, I guess that's why they say you don't date the first year. There's a reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously a year of sobriety, you're going to be at such a different level. Emotionally, mentally, physically, you know, spiritually. So the person you're going to attract at that time is going to be someone completely different than being, you know, 30 days clean, 60 days clean.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just trying to say, like, keep it going for people that, you know, are feeling lonely. We get it. Because loneliness, you know, that is a thing in this. And the cool part is that we recover together. This is a we job. I think Shane and Nat and Chad do such a good job at these events with bringing everybody together and uniting us, you know, and it's so cool to see everybody from different walks of life. Everyone's so comfortable. It's such a safe space. This meeting is a safe space. And I love that. And it's just like, we had so much fun. I just want to keep going back to that party. It was awesome. But I love that, like I said, you stayed true to yourself. You got through all these hurdles and these trials, because that's another thing. Sometimes we think they're going to stop when we get sober, and it doesn't. If anything, like they come at us more. And these tests happen. But this spiritual part, I've done yoga a couple times. I can't say I'm an enthusiast. But meditation, prayer, like spirituality, like you got me there. Like I literally cannot start my day without those things. It totally sets my tone. And there's just a peace and a serenity and just a difference of vibe and energy and aura that you get when you are tapped in like that. And it's amazing. So I appreciate you guys for letting me share. I love you guys. Again, great job. Can't wait for the next event. Seriously.
Amazing.
So
Awesome.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out and supporting. It's amazing, like, actually getting to have people and do a meeting in person.
That's so cool.
Joe. Yeah. Are you at batting practice? You're wearing the wrong helmet, dog.
My golf swing and my baseball. I don't know. I'm bored. I'm at work. There's nothing to do. Hey guys, Joe, I'm an alcoholic.
But the ladies haven't shown up yet. Sorry, Joe. I just
All right.
the show hasn't started yet. What time are you on
Tell
tonight?
them knock it off, guys.
I
What
can't.
show? The dance show? The
Yeah,
strip show?
you know.
Yeah.
They always want to do that to you, Joe.
You at work?
Oh,
You're a
yeah,
hardworking. You're a hardworking man trying to make some
I
coins.
am. And I don't have the body of a stripper. More of like a model for Burger King. So whatever. I'm so sorry it's loud. I'm at work, but I really like the beginning part of your share. The mental health from an early age, and self-medicating, right? Because I know I sought help. My mother got me checked just because I was a hyper kid and I couldn't finish anything I started. It turned out I got diagnosed with ADD at the time, but it was the 80s and my mother didn't know anything about it, and the medication stunted my growth, so she chose against it. She should have chose for it, but whatever. Not because of the medication, but because I was always a big guy. Anyway, so I always felt out of place once that was revealed to me as a teenager. And I'm like, all right, so I need medication. I'm not going to a doctor. So I self-medicated. I tried to find anything that would get me out of my head, and that never worked. That just created these circumstances in my life that were horrible. And it took me a long time to get sober, and I'm finally figured it out, finally humbled myself enough to realize I can't do this alone. I am a problem. It's not anything else, and I need help. And it's been a amazing couple of years for me. I wish I would have did this when you did it, but that's not the case. This was my path. I'm very, very grateful. And I just want to say something to you guys, right? Nat, Chad, and Shane especially. I had a big issue Sunday. There wasn't many people I could call. I called Shane at 10 o'clock at night. He answered the phone, and he gave me really good advice that I was able to implement yesterday. And if I didn't have that, I probably would have reacted like the animal I am and created even more issues or whatever damage. But I didn't, and that I owe all that to recovery. And you guys, I love your page. Every day you guys post something that is awesome. One second, Mike. I'm on the phone. And,
They're calling you out onto the stage right now. Is that what's going on?
Calling your number, Joe.
He's like, hang on a second. Sorry, Joe.
I just want to thank you guys for just allowing me to openly talk about recovery. Because I kept that inside for so long, and I felt like, other people need to know about this stuff. You guys made that possible, so thank you. And I kind of just said no to my boss, so I gotta go. Oh no, he's leaving. All right, I'm good. But anyway, yeah. So,
Oh my God.
thank you for your share, and Nat and Chad and Shane, wherever he is. Thank you guys as well. Enjoy the rest of your night.
We love you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Make good money tonight.
Joe, somebody said, "Don't get fired, Joe." Joe got one of them union jobs, man. He ain't gonna get fired.
So he says, wink, wink.
Yeah, we all know what Joe does.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, there we go. See, you guys see that? Y'all put Joe on the big screen right there.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I have a good time. I don't know if the rest of you guys have a good time, but
It's funny. Joe plays into it too. He has his prop tonight.
yeah. I mean, it worked out perfect that somebody came up and
No,
was
I totally
like, hey,
calling him on the stage.
yeah, let's go. It's time. You're supposed to be dancing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are those the kind of pants that you just rip them off like that?
Okay, stop.
All right.
Next person, please. Chad's getting out of control.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
God, I have not even thought about those pants. Those pants were like super hot and in at one point in time. We're old. Tearaway or snap pants.
Yeah.
Oh my
the
God.
tearaways,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
They still use them in the NBA.
Do they?
Yeah. Those
Okay.
guys rip the pants off right
Okay.
before they go onto the court.
Keep coming back, guys. Alicia.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Hi. Sorry about that. So very good share. Love
Thank you.
everything about it and everything about this meeting and this group. I'm like sort of going through it, so I haven't shared in a while. I'm like on trial right now for like, company I kept before I was sober. So I've been like on a witness stand and dealing with all that shit. And then a really good friend that like I went to school with who got sober right before me just died 2 days ago. And also I'm supposed to be in my new house 4,000 miles away, but I have to stay for trial. But yeah, so like I'm leaving soon, and one thing that like I want to do just because like I'm sick of just like watching my peers die. Like I want to start a petition. So if you guys have any like advice, because it says something about like needing a sponsor, and I don't know who I'm supposed to go to for a sponsor for that. But yeah, I just want to get some stuff started before I leave everybody here. Thank you for letting me share, and thanks for a great meeting.
I'm so happy that you shared tonight.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Alicia.
That's the thing, is like that's where we're at right now, is that people are dying regardless of what you think. Like, what, I can't remember who we were talking to, but the biggest misconception right now is that like addicts and alcoholics are dying. It's not. Fentanyl is seeping in everywhere to everybody, and like a normal somebody just trying a pill for the evening, thinking it's something, and it's actually laced with fentanyl, and then they're not here the next day. So it's scary.
Yeah, I think that was the doctor that we just had
Was it?
podcast. Yeah,
Oh,
we have a good podcast coming out in a couple. We're gonna do it early. Oh, nice. Yeah. What's his name, Doctor?
oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
I see it. It's SURK.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Sarkay.
But Alicia, put your info and stuff in the group chat, because that way everybody in the chat can love on you this week, because going through trial and dealing with that is heavy, and you definitely shouldn't be doing it alone.
Yeah. Anytime you need to reach out to, we answer all of our DMs all the time. It's either me, myself, Shane.
I'm not allowed to.
She's not allowed on the Hopeaholics page, but I'm sure if you
Eventually, I'll get there.
DM her.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Russell Sararsky.
You were right. It was on the tip of your tongue.
He's a neurologist and an addiction double board certified in addiction medicine as well. Really good podcast. I really enjoyed
Me
it.
too. Especially when it talks about like so heavily with someone that is double board certified, not only in neurology first and then into addiction medicine, because he lost his brother.
His brother.
So you get like the real passion behind it, because he obviously studied the brain first and then went into addiction, because watching an addict die is
Literally goes in and talks so much about the different parts of the brain that gets affected by the disease, by the substance. Really good stuff.
Congratulations on 169 days. Do we have a burning desire? We only have 4 minutes left.
4 minutes.
We could do one more. We could
Do
do
we have
a burning desire.
anybody have a?
Oh, boom.
we got a burning desire.
Bam.
Nice. Perfect.
Okay, how do you say? Oh, well, I was gonna say hallelujah. Wow.
It's just,
Yes,
it's
that's what supposed to
Hannah.
be like.
Hannah.
Hannah is my name, but it's Hallelujah. That's what my mom called me when I was little.
So I was spot on.
Yes, Hallelujah.
Almost.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
So,
Hallelujah.
I haven't shared before. I have a lot of anxiety, and I'm not sure about it, but a lot of my recovery is dealing with loss and death. And a good friend of mine was in a car accident. Well, she was riding her bike and she was hit by a girl texting and driving almost 10 years ago now. And her sister just had a baby and he passed away a couple days ago. So we had to go to his funeral yesterday.
Yikes.
He was a year and a half old. And I just wanted to share their outlook on it because it really inspired me. They said, we can put our trust in God because who God is doesn't depend on our son. Our Redeemer is sure and we can fully trust him. He has written our days. He wrote Zechariah's days. He blessed us with a child we didn't think we could have, and he gave us 19 wonderful months with our little boy. Oh, God. And it just really, I don't know, how you can be going through something like that and still have that much faith was just really inspiring to me. And I just really wanted to share that because I feel like more than just me on here could benefit from that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I have a lot to share, but I'll probably do that another time because it's a lot. So that's all for now.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing for your first time.
Totally. I'm so happy that you raised your hand and shared. And I love what you shared because, wow. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
I've been coming to the meetings for about 6 months.
I've literally, I know your name. I see it all the time.
I've talked to Shane and Chad a little bit. My boyfriend was in jail dealing with a lot of addiction stuff. He's currently just over 6 months sober. He's in a sober house in Minneapolis, and he is gonna train to be to help work there as well. So he's doing very well.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
So good to hear that good stuff.
That's really good.
We do recover, guys.
Yeah.
We do get better and we do get to live life.
Yeah.
And a beautiful life at that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing better in this world than, helping others.
Totally. It's funny how that works.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's about that time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we're there. We there for sure?
Yep.
We're good?
Amazing meeting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Emily's like freaking out because she's got to get home and check the TV.
No, Emily's birthday's tomorrow, you guys. So she's like, trying to get her nails together and her outfits and all the things.
She's worried about who's going to win the election. I'll be honest with you, Emily. I honest to God, I don't think Emily cares either way. I mean,
Emily, play our music. Let's dance out of here.
Everybody, put their camera on.
Amanda, thank you so much for your
because we are actually the only meeting that does this that I know of. I'm gonna finish it with that. There's probably somebody out there that's copying us, right?
Yeah.
Everybody that wants their camera on got their camera on because we're about to put our hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. There we go.
Okay. God,
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Thank you again, Amanda, and thank you to all you guys for showing up every single week. We absolutely love you, and we'll see you next week.
And we will see you next week.
Yeah.